investors. Lastly, encourage the establishment of small processing industries via individual and public-private partnership agreements to reduce post-harvest waste. Action points. 1. Organize a real estate summit to draw investor interest. 2. Invest in infrastructure to support real estate and other sectors. 3. Simplify tax procedures and eliminate redundant levies. 4. Follow up on MOUs for effective implementation. 5. Launch a statewide rebranding campaign. Lastly, promote small-scale processing industries to enhance agricultural value chains. Conclusion. Creating a conducive business environment, addressing security and infrastructure gaps, and rebranding the state are key to unlocking Benue's economic potential. These efforts will encourage investment, reduce agricultural waste, and drive economic development. Panelists at this session were Professor Abraham Gigi, who served as the moderator, Architect Dr. Nguvan Kenge, Mr. Michael Ogligba, and Mr. Michael Oguche served as panelists. Exhibition. The exhibition featured a wide range of organizations and businesses contributing to Benue State's economic growth, education, innovation, and industrial development. In the sector of finance and business support, Novus Microfinance Bank featured prominently. The bank provides loans and financial services to support entrepreneurs and small businesses. Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank showcased online platforms promoting products, business account types, and loan services. Benipa highlighted investment opportunities in dormant industries and facilitated discussions on tax incentives. In the area of education and youth empowerment, B&S Education provides access to scholarships and student loans for international studies. Benue Fashion Hub. The hub trains youth in fashion design using local materials and promotes entrepreneurship. Technology and digital infrastructure. Benue Digital Infrastructure Company delivers IT solutions, manages data centers, and distributes digital services to schools. Benue Geographical Information System, BENGIS. BENGIS offers geospatial data to support planning and decision-making. In the area of agriculture and sustainability, Renex Ecotech Limited produces chemical-free liquid biofertilizers and biogas from agro waste. Under Global Foods, the foods processes and packages local spices, promoting agri-business. Bache converts local crops into finished food products, showcasing agricultural value addition, industry and resource development. The Benue International Investment and Economic Summit stand showcased Benue's mineral resources and opportunities in extractive industries. The hub ensures local products meet global standards, fostering entrepreneurship and innovation. Taxation and business formalization. The Benue State Board of Internal Revenue Service educated attendees on business registration and tax compliance. Federal Inland Revenue Service. The FIRS promoted e-services and federal investment incentives. The exhibition led by Sir Alex Adingi Special Advisor to the Governor on International Investment, successfully showcased Benue State's economic diversity and investment potential. Through collaboration and knowledge sharing, the exhibition contributed significantly to the state's economic advancements. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, here is a presentation of the recap of the Day 2 Benue International Investment and Economic Summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause. Thank you, the Director General, Becca. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, just before we welcome for our first paper presentation, I'd like to recognize very quickly the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Sinoki System Group Worldwide, the person of Mr. Eric Hanku Liu. Please, a round of applause for him. You're welcome. I'd like to also recognize the presence of the General Manager, Benue Links, Nigeria, Comrade Alexander Ondhemba Fanafa, KSM, MNIM, is ably represented by Information Officer, Mr. Johnson Ehi Daniel. Please put your hands together for him. We also have here in our midst the National President, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME, the person of Dr. Abdurrashid Yerima. Please put your hands together for him. He's been accompanied by the National Publicity Secretary, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME, a person of Honorable Gaddafi Asemaya, our very own here in Benue. Thank you very much for coming. Well, it's the Day 3 of the Benue International Investment and Economic Summit 2025. Today's focus is on Energy Day, powering Benue's future. And we'll have for our very first paper presentation an honored man, of course, the man that I like to refer to as a gentle professor, one who is filled with so much knowledge. Our first meeting with him is one I will never forget. He's the former chairman of the National Gas Expansion Program, NGEP, and he's currently the chairman of the BOT Virtual Gas Infrastructure Association of Nigeria. He will be coming up shortly for the first paper presentation. And before we invite him, we'll just make a few consultations, and then he will come up. I advise all of us to bring out our writing materials, because there's so much that will be coming from this gentleman. He is a professor that is filled with so much. Those who attended the gas expansion program last year would testify to the fact that he is a man who is filled with so much expertise in the field of gas. My colleague, Dr. Shadrach, will give us an information very quickly, and then we'll invite him.
Thank you very much, Jude. You're doing well. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take goodwill messages shortly before we take the first presentation. May I, before calling for the messages, acknowledge the presence of the Permanent Secretary and Solicitor General of the Ministry of Justice, Benue State, Mr. Thomas Esse, who is representing the Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice and Public Order. So you're welcome, please. Thank you. We will take goodwill messages from a few persons, eminent persons that we have here, and thereafter continue with the presentations. May I invite the Chairman and CEO of Sinoki Systems Group Worldwide, Mr. Eric Liu Hanching, to step forward for his goodwill message.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have never prepared for a speech here. But you know, these days, I've been going around Benue. I find that Benue really, it is a rich land. You almost has everything. You are rich in solid mineral, different kinds of solid mineral. You are very rich land for agricultural products. So the next one is just for how to arrange it, both for West Africa and for exportation, maybe linked to China. If you have a technique to process to our demand in China. So that's why I'm here, try to link China with Benue to bring the technique. And also, what I want is, if possible, we can also invest into Benue. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please, another round of applause for the Chairman and CEO, Sinoki System Group Worldwide. Thank you very much. For the second goodwill message, I would like to invite the APC Caretaker Committee Chairman, the All Progressives Congress APC Chair, Honorable Benjamin Omale. Please put your hands together for the chair.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the VIP invited here, our esteemed investors, developer partners, respective government officials here present, fellow sons and daughters of Benue State, and friends of our guests. It is inner pride and heart full of hope that we stand here today to deliver our goodwill message on behalf of the All Progressive APC Party Benue State Chapter at this historic Benue State International Investment and Economic Summit 2025. Today we are here gathered not just to talk about the investment, but to chart a bold news, a path towards economic transformation, to share prosperity and sustainable development in our dear states. This summit is signals a turning point and is a clear declaration of war that Benue is ready and Benue is open and Benue is ready to rise again. This political leadership of the APC Benue State, we recognize no single party, the government or institution can build the future alone. We believe strongly in partnership that transcend policies and partnership will build on vision and enterprises and mutual respect. We are fully aligning with the states and the federal government and to also drive policy that will attract private investors, empower entrepreneurship, and unlock full potentials in Benue State. Let me use this opportunity to thank His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Alia Senilo, for the great opportunity and the privilege he has created for this enabling summit to hold. The APC in Benue State is committed to him, and we are assuring him the victory comes the year 2027. To our youth and our engineer of our future, we hear this aspiration, and we are asking that you take this opportunity of this investment for the greater height. Let us continue to assure you, on behalf of Benue State, we will continue to champion policies that support free enterprises, responsible governments, infrastructure renewal, and job creation. Together, we'll move from one ambitions to actions. Let us build the Benue State that would not only feed the nation, but fuel the Nigerian economy at large. Let us use this summit in remembering the moment the investors have found confidence and then continue to build for a renewed hope. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very successful summit. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for the State Caretaker Committee Chairman, All Progressives Congress, Honorable Benjamin Omale. Thank you very much. For the next goodwill message, I'd like to invite the National President, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME, the person of Dr. Abdul Rashid Yerima. Please put your hands together for him.
Eminent personalities, good morning. It's a great pleasure for us to be here today to support and also be part of this investment insight that's been provided here. And this is an opportunity for MSMEs to join and be part of the new history of Benue State by increasing investments across the board, especially in the area of mineral resources and agriculture, which are the frontier of our development today. So on this, we wish the Benue State people and the government of Benue State a successful event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Rashid Yerima. Just before we call the lead presenter, I'd like to recognize the presence of the Chairman, Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, NATO, the person of Alhaji Garba Japan Ibrahim. Please put your hands together for him. You're welcome, sir.
Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, for the first presentation, we'd like to necessary break. We were going to introduce to you the resource person for the first presentation of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the immediate past chairman of the National Gas Expansion Program and currently the Board of Trustees chairman of the Virtual Gas Infrastructure Association of Nigeria. Let us welcome Professor Muhammad Ibrahim, MNI.
Your Excellency in absentia, Executive Governor of Benue State, His Excellency the Deputy Governor in absentia, my boss, His Excellency Ambassador Nicholas Ella, the immediate past Permanent Secretary, Minister of Petroleum Resources, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have a very simple task this morning, which is basically to talk about what we believe will be the catalyst for Benue's socio-economic transformation. And I'm being aided by the PowerPoint presentation model that I've chosen. But before I start, I believe that Benue State is not appreciating enough some of its citizens. And one of those few citizens that I believe the state is not appreciating enough is His Excellency Ambassador Nicholas Ella, for the wonderful thing he has been doing at the federal level to ensure that Benue eventually is transformed economically and socially. His Excellency will eventually come to the podium to say some few words later. But I think it's very important for record purpose that we make this particular statement. If we're talking about this presentation today, it is thanks to him. And I believe that he deserves a word of applause. Last year, December, we had a National Gas Expansion Program event, which all intent and purpose was a success. Based on that, it was at that point that we felt that there was a need, and which is typical and have become very cultural to our mode of operation at the national. So in December, we therefore, as part of our findings, to always ensure that whenever we have any activity in any state, within 90 days of that particular activity or outing, we ensure that we have deliverables. And one of the deliverables is what we are going to discuss today. In addition to these particular deliverables, is the fact that I have our brother Chris representing Greenville in our presence here this morning, because Greenville is going to make a very major investment in the state. We equally have other investors who are here with us from China, from Indonesia, again, which are the outcome of the activity we did. We have Autogas and so on and so forth. My task this morning, and I'm going to make it very brief, whoever is interested in my presentation can pick it up from the Secretariat. So it's called coal bed methane, immediately available source of gas in Benue State. Traditionally, we've always been told that the bulk of gas comes from petroleum, either associated with oil or non-associated, which means it develops and stands alone. We call it the non-associated gas. However, having done some research over the years and seen what is the global direction in terms of energy efficiency, energy security, it behoves on us as a nation to ensure that we explore all forms of gas, all forms of energy from whatever source. It could be biomass, it could also be from coal. But we know at some point in the development life of Nigeria, coal played a major role in our industrialization at the early stages. But as other forms of hydrocarbon emerged, coal became, demonized and eventually was being seen as the bad guy of a member of the hydrocarbon family. We use the word hydrocarbon because the carbon element in the family is coal, while the liquid member of the family is oil, and of course the gaseous member of the family is gas. So Benue State is well endowed with coal, and we know from simple chemistry that we can actually extract gas. And since there's a global consensus that gas is now a transition fuel that the whole world feels and accepts as being less polluting on the other members. So today we're going to discuss about the advantages of getting gas from coal, which is a major resource of Benue State, and how that can, in a very transformative manner, alter the socio-economic trajectory of Benue State. According to the globalmethane.com, China and the United States, by far the world's largest coal producers, account for 60% of global coal production. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, just 3 weeks ago, signed an executive order bringing coal back into production in the United States. Now listen to the mischief. This is the same world powers that have been demonizing coal, telling us that coal is not good for the environment. But the United States today, together with China, are the world's largest coal producers. And we just came back from China. We visited an area called Shanxi region, and I'm happy that the Chinese experts are here. We visited the coal methane refinery, which is 4 times the size of Dangote refinery. And they go sometimes 10 kilometers beneath the surface to extract coal. The coal you have in Benue, you extract it by open cast mining system. So you can imagine, I need to put in context for us to be able to appreciate the subject under discussion today. Nigeria, with an estimated coal reserve of 2 billion tons and growing, because for the last 70 years, we have not done any additional geological survey to check the entire coal reserve that we have in the country. But even given it as it is, less than 30,000 tons of coal is currently being explored. And the interesting thing, the users of coal in Nigeria are mostly the cement plants. They use coal for power generation. Now listen, if therefore Dangote Cement will use coal in Boko for its own power generation to produce cement, why is Benue State not using coal for power generation to be able to address the power deficit in the state? The coal reserves are located in Cretaceous Anambra Basin, Lower and Middle Benue Trough, Makadi and its environs, as well as Afipo's syncline, and occur in 2 levels, the lower Mamu Foundation and the upper Nsuka Foundation. All this is saying is, if Benue State does not wake up to explore in a very, very organized manner, you have competitors in Anambra, you have competitors in Enugu, you have competitors in Kogi. Therefore, the essence of this discussion this morning is just so that Benue people appreciate what you have and the potential for competition from your neighbors if you do not in a very rapid manner, exploit this God-given resource. The countries, let's leave out simple geology, just for the benefit of some of us who are not engineers or science inclined. Very simple. Basically, what is coal bed methane? Coal, as we know, is a solid material. Like I said, a member of the hydrocarbon family. But the special state has in it trapped with gas, methane, which is CH4, right? Now, it is the same gas that you get from your sewer systems. That is, if you have biomass, if you use agricultural waste, it is the same gas, the same chemical formation that you also get from gas that comes from oil, right? So it is exactly the same thing. And pardon the language, it is the same gas that comes out from your latrine in your homes. So there's actually nothing special about gas that comes from coal. So let nobody tell us that, oh, gas from coal is bad for the environment. It is not true. As coal matures from peat to lignite, bituminous coal, again, bitumen for road construction. What this tells you is that the same coal that you have, and we're going to see as we move further, you process it, you extract gas from it, you extract fertilizer from it, you extract chemicals from it, you can also use it for road construction. That is the byproduct, because of its relationship, because it is bituminous in nature. Methane is produced and accumulates in the coal seams, right? Methane from coal is usually distributed at the grain surface of the latter as absorbed. Therefore, the first thing you do, the first thing that you have available in any coal environment is the fact that the gas comes out. So which means to harvest gas from coal mines is much easier than harvesting gas, from oil and gas. Because from oil and gas, you have to do your seismic. You have to do your exploratory drill. You now have to see how you can capture the gas. But in the case of coal mining, open cast, it's on the surface. I'm sure some of us have seen some videos in the past where people are drilling borehole and gas comes out. That is in simple terminology, what coal bed methane is all about. Next slide. So I'm not going to bore you with this. Now, what is the importance of coal bed methane? An important alternative energy source, especially in areas rich in coal deposit but lacking conventional oil and gas resource. We are not saying that you don't have oil and gas in the Benue Trough. You do have. But if you look at the manner of sedimentary basin evolution, you discover that you have the harder material far in more quantity than you have oil and gas. So why don't you exploit it? I keep repeating, it's a member of the hydrocarbon family. So it's actually, an energy source. It is expected to play a significant role in future global energy theater. It offers a potential solution to increasing global energy demand. This is a global movement towards coal bed methane production. I just told you what we saw in China. The United States is revving up its coal production, especially coal bed methane, because as we are going to see later, you have all the petrochemicals that you need, pharmaceutical, fertilizers, all from coal bed methane. Cleaner fuel. As a methane-rich fuel, it burns more cleanly than coal itself, reducing emissions of pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, NOx, and particulate matters. Basically, it is with the new technology, you don't have an issue around emission, pollution. The new technology has completely eliminated, any issues around pollution. It's considered a cleaner transition fuel between coal and renewable energy like wind or solar, as it emits less carbon dioxide. The interesting thing is this, and I was just discussing with my colleague Adejo. If you focus on solar and wind, and if you take into consideration what we call intermittency, you discover that if it continues raining for 90 days, like we experienced in Cross River State last year, where 9 months out of the 12 months, it was rain galore, the entire solar system collapsed. Secondly, we have a university that wrote us that after installing 3 megawatts of power using solar, they came to us 3 years later that they want 25 billion naira to replace the batteries. Now, if after 4 years of running on solar, you now need to replace the batteries for 25 billion naira, how sustainable is that power generation? Therefore, coal is a far more better alternative than wind and solar. So, let us talk a little bit about the historics of coal bed methane in Nigeria. Okay, according to Ahmed and Tuno 2024, Nigerian coal is predominantly sub-bituminous, which means that Nigerian coal is a subset of the large bitumen that we have in the country. And if you look at the bitumen belt formation, right from Edo, coming through Ondo, goes into, meanders into Kogi, Benue, it goes all out. So it has an average content of 10.95% by weight. A relatively shallow depth, the country is considered, therefore, to be a major producer of coal bed methane. They were at Onwukpa yesterday to take samples. And what they told us when they came back is that unlike in certain areas where you have to go 1, 2, 3, up to 15 kilometers down, they barely picked the samples on the surface. And this is exactly what the study has shown. Now, this is what we're looking at. These are all the basins in Nigeria, right? And the interesting thing about the Nigerian state is that there's hardly any particular point in this country where you don't have one form of energy or the other. But when we're talking at the Benue Trough, we're talking of essentially coal, which is very, very key. While it is that we still have other hydrocarbon sources, but essentially coal, is a powerhouse and is the most abundant resource as far as Benue State is concerned. Next slide. Okay, next slide. Move it. These are the areas that have already proven coal reserves with major elements of methane. So you can actually see that the country, the state is fairly and adequately covered when it comes to this particular major resource. Just imagine if you are to bring this into production, and from the same coal, you get your gas, which is methane, you get your fertilizer, you can do power generation, you can do coke, which is a major feedstock, for iron and steel. And with Benue being a food basket of the country, which means that this state can be self-sufficient, literally in energy, resources as a feedstock into agricultural production, and then Benue State will really be the hub for socio-economic development in this country. Benue can be the source of energy for the entire northern region of this country, which means that there will be absolutely no need, for anybody to go outside this region, for gas. But the interesting thing for the Nigerian state on energy security, we can now take our gas resources in the Niger Delta and focus on export, which is LNG, for export market to earn, foreign reserve. But more importantly, we would have been able to develop our in-country capacity for energy and productivity so that we can make the lives and, economy of our nation, successful. Next slide. While Benue State has not yet realized significant seabed extraction, in fact, has not even started, because most of the preliminary and, I can say, rudimentary coal production in the state has been focused mainly by people who take it, for cement, for power generation. But there has never been any deliberate policy to use the methane from Benue coal for the desired objective. Therefore, using coal, methane in this region could play a role in diversifying the state's energy mix and supporting industrialization. Next slide. How is this coal formed? Simple geology. The first time in coal formation involved the accumulation of plant material. Basically, if someday, and whether we like it or not, we're all going to die anyway. Just like any living organism, human beings will die, plants will die. But if you have a region whereby you have animals and humans, dying, then there's going to be what you call, under anaerobic system, whereby you bury human material and plants under the ground, and then there are certain, under intense heat and pressure, coal is formed from plant materials. Over millions of years, peat undergoes physical and chemical change under heat and pressure. It eventually transforms into lignite and bituminous coal, and at higher pressure into anthracite. However, during coalification, as the organic material breaks down, CH4, which is methane, which is gas, and other gases are produced. This methane can either remain absorbed into the surface of the coal or accumulate, within the coal seams. So while it is that if you take a bunch of coal, you have gas already embedded in it. But in surrounding areas, again, even without really touching on trying to extract coal or gas from that coal, the surrounding areas have coal seams. So which means that the Benue geology is so favorable, to using coal as a producer of gas and other materials, while the surrounding areas, inhabiting the coal, structure already has gas trapped. What this means is that it becomes very, very easy to extract gas from Benue, what they call it, geology, refines it within the shortest possible time. The plant we visited in China, 4 times the size of Dangote refinery, from front-end engineering design to EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction, switching on 15 months. 15 months. It took Dangote 10 years to build one single train. Next slide. So, what are the factors that determine, what they call it, coal in any thing? Of course, the depth. And we're going to see it. The deeper the coal seam, the higher the pressure and temperature, both which influence the amount and type of methane produced. And the good thing is that we are still at an elementary stage of our coal exploration in Benue. Unlike in Enugu, that has had maybe 30, 40 years, of coal usage. And for a longer period, they shut down the coal mines. And what did we have? We have dust, settling and filling the pores. In the case of Benue, it is completely virgin, which means we have far more chances, of getting, what they call it, gas out in larger quantity and in a cleaner manner than whatever you have in other parts of the country. Coal rank, that is the degree of metamorphism the coal has undergone, plays a significant role. Higher rank coals typically produce more methane than lower rank coals. This is what Benue has. All these are just to justify to you that yes, indeed, the coal in Benue is the most appropriate, for the exercise we're trying to promote, which is methane production, which will now give you LNG, CNG, and also auto gas that you can use. Next slide. This is just to give you an assay, basically, for those who might be interested. My sister, the DG, what do you call it, solid minerals development. Next slide. So what is it that we need? And this is where our foreign investors are here. There are stages, and we need to go through all of this. To know the essence of this particular discussion this morning is not to show any skill, in geology of coal, but to create a critical mass of awareness so that at every stage and every individual in the state will see the opportunity that this presents to transform this state. And that's why we're going through all of this. And to show you the opportunities of employment generation, skills acquisition, and so on and so forth. So you are not going to start any operation without having what you call a geological mapping, which means that a geological survey must be conducted to identify location, extent, and depth of coal seams. Mapping involves evaluating geological structures like the faults, folds, ranks, the degree of qualification, and seams thickness and continuity. Geophysical, basically, imagine the number of employment you are going to, create just, doing your geological mapping. You now come to seismic surveys. All those steps we take in hydrocarbon will be required in Benue State. What that means is you are going to now start having to develop new skill sets or those that already have the skills in the state, have opportunities for employment, right? You are going to have things like resistivity and gamma ray logging. You are going to have drilling and well logging. Core samples to be taken. So there are so many opportunities that this particular enterprise will present to the state, right? You are going to do site evaluation. You are going to do reservoir modeling. These are all the steps that we normally do in the oil and gas production that will not be domiciled here, okay? There are different kind of drilling techniques that we are going to use. Some of them might be, walk over rigs, and so on and so forth. All these, activities will need a lot of manpower. They will need core skills that are required. You are going to have Benue indigenes who already have some of these skill sets, that will not be employed. Next slide, because I'm giving just only half an hour and I barely have 10 more minutes to go. You start seeing such rigs, coming to, please go down a bit. The slide before. We are going to start seeing some of these, walk-over rigs coming into the state. Therefore, there are so many procedures that will need the support of every member of the state if we want this particular activity to happen. All these activities will happen. They afford opportunities. It is very important for us to sensitize our people that we need to get their buy-in, just so that because our experience in the Niger Delta is sufficient to know how we need to do project planning. That's why I'm taking you through all of these steps. Next slide. Dewatering water is pumped out from the coal seam to reduce pressure and allow methane to dissolve from the coal. It's a critical part of coal bed methane. As the pressure on the coal seam is lowered, methane that was absorbed to the coal surface is released. It's a simple process, but as simple as it is, it needs the right environment. And I keep saying the human element is far more important than the techniques, because if the humans around in those locations give support and understand that it is at the end of the day for the benefit of the state, I believe Benue shall be the pace setter in this new form of energy that has never happened in Africa south of Sahara, not even in South Africa. Next slide. Therefore, is this coal bed, I will continue to repeat, forget about all the technical jargons. What is more important is for us to appreciate the importance of coal bed methane. First, to Benue. Secondly, to the larger part of the country, and even in the global market, that the moment we start coal bed methane production and we satisfy our own needs in the country, we have our neighboring countries that we can export into, because it is the same gas form. Whether you inject it into the pipeline as pipeline natural gas, or you compress it 600 times its volume at minus 162 degrees to become LNG, or you do mini LNG like Adejo and Co are trying to do, or you do CNG, or use for domestic activities, it is the same methane. Therefore, with increasing global needs, cement provides a viable alternative to traditional fossil fuels like oil. Coal, it is a critical part of energy mix, particularly for regions with abundant coal reserves like Benue, right? It enhances energy security, which is very important. Today, and I'm saying it, Nigeria has 6 LNG trains, LNG train 1 to 6, and we're building the 7th one. But the sad aspect of the whole thing is that the 6 LNG trains we have in the country are currently operating at 50% their capacity, which means this country is currently not earning much from our LNG export because of all the unrest and all the vandalism that take place in the Niger Delta. We should not allow the same to take place in Benue. Therefore, if this country will really rise and address energy sector, coal bed methane production, starting from Benue, is key. The only LNG facility that is 7 industries in this country today is Greenville. And I'll ask Chris to please stand up for recognition so that we can appreciate what Chris has been doing to try to see that we bring gas, to Benue. So what's going to happen essentially is the moment we start producing gas from Benue, then Chris doesn't have to, truck his LNG all the way from Rumuji River State to Benue. He will pick his gas from Benue and he'll be able to diffuse the molecules, to serve as feedstock all over the state. It will address once and for all the energy crisis of the state. It will spur economic development, industrialization, social harmony in the state. It will remove poverty. Don't listen to anybody trying to convince you. And I know the DG Climate Change is looking at me, right? But I need to say this. CBN offers environmental advantages, over coal. That is, the coal bed methane offers advantages over coal itself, since it emits fewer pollutants and less carbon dioxide when burned. Transitioning to CBN can reduce the environmental footprint of energy production. So I want to be sure that we're on the same page, DG Climate Change. CBN development can create jobs in exploration, drilling, production, transportation. It also, of course, all the taxes and so on and so on you are going to get. However, I am not saying that the Director for Internal Revenue in Benue State will start, taxing people. And I see the Honorable Commissioner of Finance here, who will come and tell me that we need all the money revenues we need. But he, being a very astute businessman, he appreciates the need that it's better, like the president says, to tax the fruit rather than taxing the seed. So if we're able to allow this coal bed methane to mature, if you look at the array of opportunity it's going to present, people will pay taxes rather than taxing the operation itself. Countries with significant CBN reserve can enhance their energy independence and reduce geopolitical costs associated with importing fuels. Even locally, like I said, the moment we get these gas molecules, online, then you don't have to go to the Niger Delta to bring gas. You have it right in your background, in your backyard. So what else do you need? Several investment opportunities exist for CBN development in the state. Private investors, oil and gas companies, multinational energy firms could enter the market to explore and develop CBN resources. Joint ventures between local companies and international players could be formed. And this is exactly why we are here. Just so that, state indigents, you look at the entire value chain for this CBM development or coal development, and every human being, every person can have a presence in the value chain. It offers a lot of opportunity for people who want to invest, whether local investors or international. There's a growing need for infrastructure to support CBN development, pipeline, gas processing, and transportation facilities. Investors could focus on building specialized infrastructure to target extraction, transportation, and distribution of CBM. When you hear LNG, you hear CNG. It's the same thing you are going to get from your coal bed methane production. It's the same molecule. It's the same manner of using cryogenic facilities to transport it. It's the same way you need the cascade to be able to transport the CNG. So you can see a lot of opportunities existing within this material. It can be used for power generation, especially in states like Enugu and Benue, which experience energy deficit. There are modular systems that you can invest in, and this is exactly what we are proposing. Then let us start modular system and then expand it, within the shortest possible time. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Specifically for Benue, alternative energy for local power generation. Under our scheme, we have a scheme that every local government in Benue State will have at least 1 megawatt. Every local government. And the system is going to be modular in nature. That all you just need is just have your cascades or one simple cryogenic storage, and you can just go to where CBN is produced. You take it with your truck, take it to the local government, and you energize the local government. Just imagine how good it is. And all this can be done within 24 months. Now, 24 months is 2007 away. So it's very simple. Industrialization, power industries such as cement plant, bricks. And I know that Benue State, because I've been involved in some local governments that have been using bricks. But we are not using bond bricks in Benue because the cost of energy is so high. Imagine that the bricks that you have in the state, you now have adequate power to be able to burn it. You can now become the largest bond brick producing state in this country at the least cost, which is important. Employment generation. Development of CBN will create direct and indirect job across stages of project, from exploration, like I said, skilled labor development. It affords Benue State a unique opportunity in this country to warehouse the most skilled manpower in this new emerging area, because then the state is going to be the pace-setter state as far as coal-bed methane production is concerned. Look at the generation, revenue generation. Next slide. For the director, I had to include this for the DG climate change, because I know His Excellency is really disturbed when we discussed with him, earlier in the year about the CBM, and I decided to put this slide on to reassure you that do not be sold into this thing that coal is bad or CBM, is bad. CBM is a cleaner fuel compared to coal combustion. It's more efficient and less polluting energy source. By trapping CBM in Benue State, there could be a reduction in the environmental impact caused by coal mining and burning. So basically what you are doing is a simple system of filtration. Once you filter it, then you have your gas you can use. Okay? Capturing methane from coal seam reduce environmental risk associated with methane leakage. It's on my neck, so I'm going to really have to move, very fast. Next slide. Next slide. However, there are challenges, and we need to be very, very frank with ourselves. We shouldn't think that this is just going to happen. They say if wishes were horses, beggars will ride. So it's very important that we also share one slide. And I think I keep mentioning it. We need to create a critical mass in the state so that every citizen of Benue State sees this particular God-given resource as an opportunity, to participate and contribute, in ensuring that this particular project takes off. What are the challenges? Continued development of advanced recovery methods for low permeability seams, improving hydraulic fracturing techniques, and enhancing methane recovery are key challenges for CBN. Basically, what we're saying is this. There are technological requirements, because the coal, like I said, has been demonized by the international community. But that technological challenge has been addressed. And we will ensure that the most up-to-date technology is what comes into Benue State. High upfront exploration and drilling cost and fluctuating natural gas price can make CBN less economically attractive, especially in volatile markets. The focus of the CBM development in Benue should not be export targeted. It is to spur domestic economic activities. This is the model that India and China have used. They never focused on export, satisfy domestic demand, and then only export the excess. And also, it is not desired that we are going to produce CBM and export it. Why can't we produce CBM, use it to energize our production, and only export processed and finished goods, just so that we can earn foreign exchange? So this harmonization is not about getting CBM molecules for export. It is to be used at feedstock, least cost, so that you can generate electricity, so that you can now produce goods and services that you can now export. We also have regulatory and environmental challenges. 3 days ago before we came, His Excellency Ambassador Ella led our delegation to the Ministry of Solid Minerals, together with our foreign partners, and we engaged the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, because the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development has, the mandate to oversee, the regulation of this particular sector. And he could only do that because he's committed, to this particular purpose. So every time when I sing his praise, it's because I know all the sacrifice he has made to ensure that such issues as regulatory and environmental challenges, are addressed. The future of CBM lies in improving extraction efficiency, developing technologies for deep coal seams, and integrating CBM into hybrid energy systems. All we're saying, nobody is ruling out any energy form. We're only just saying that we should not let coal resource that we have, to be left unutilized. What are the key take points? Nigeria stands at 194 million tons of coal, which translates to about 60 trillion cubic feet of gas. That is massive. 60 trillion cubic of gas. If we inject that into our local economy, It will address once and for all our power problem. It will address completely our need for, the cooking gas price that is going up. Women in this hall will know, 3 years ago, the price of cooking gas was 3,000 naira for 12.5 kg cylinder. Today it's hovering between 15,000 to 18,000. You can never, therefore control the cost of services. With this unleashing 60 trillion cubic feet of gas into the domestic economy will transform our lives in a very good way. It offers a promising source of natural gas in coal-rich regions, and its development is critical to diversifying our energy sources. It can support socioeconomic growth, like I said, by providing jobs, including energy access, under the Sustainable Development Goals, promoting industrialization and contributing to environmental sustainability. However, the development of CBN in Benue will require significant investment in infrastructure, exploration, and production. Investment opportunities are abundant, especially in exploration, energy generation, and infrastructure development. But the right partnerships could accelerate the realization of CBN potentials for Benue State. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that very illuminating lecture. For someone like me, even if I don't understand gas, he's saying something CBM, of coal belt methane, but CBM sounds very close to what I understand, CBN. So what that translates to me, it means that there is money for Benue in this thing. Let us put our hands together for Professor. He qualifies to say the things he's saying, but we did not tell you about that from the beginning. I think now is the right time for you to know why he's able to say the things that he's saying. I will invite the DG Quality Assurance, who is the chairman of the contact committee for this summit, to step forward and read briefly the profile of Professor Ibrahim.
Professor Mohammed M. Ibrahim, MNI. Professor Ibrahim is an internationally recognized professor of energy and sustainable development. He is a multidisciplinarian with degrees across the professions from Sorbonne, Lagos, Cambridge, and others. He is a member of several professional bodies in engineering, medicine, energy, and alternative dispute resolution. MM, as he is fondly called, has been presidential aide to several Nigerian presidents. He has been involved in several researches in the hydrocarbon industry, some of which have been patented. Professor Ibrahim was a member of the two oil and gas sector reform implementation committees, OGIC 1 and 2, established from 2000 to 2010. Within the OGIC, he chaired several committees and subcommittees on policy and the establishment of the National Petroleum Directorate, upstream, downstream, NNPC, DPR, and others. Specifically, in the gas sector, MM was a member of the group that birthed Nigeria's first CNG commercialization projects. In 2020, Professor Ibrahim was appointed a pioneer chairman of the National Gas Expansion Program, NGEP, which is serving as the catalyst for the renaissance of Nigeria's economy. The NGEP has successfully midwifed several gas projects across the entire gas value chain, resulting in the construction of mini LNG plants, massive LPG facilities, CNG mother and daughter stations, modular petrochemical units, power plants, etc. MM has several publications, including articles in leading international journals. He is also a regular speaker at workshops and conferences internationally and within Nigeria. Professor M.M. Ibrahim brought the commercial exploration, production, and processing of coal-bed methane to national consciousness. He is currently a member of the TED Fund Steering Committee on the provision of alternative energy to tertiary institutions in Nigeria. He is also the deputy chairman of the Women LPG Scale Up and Empowerment Initiative of the Ministry of Women Affairs. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you here this morning our distinguished speaker, Professor Mohammed M. Ibrahim MNI.
On behalf of the Benue State government, we would like to invite the APC chairman to step forward and present this plaque of recognition to our resource person. Dr. Benjamin Omale, APC chairman, please.
My singular honor, on behalf of the Benue State Governor, I present you this plaque, the sign of honor and respect to your credible credentials. Thank you and God bless you.
Stay for the picture. We invite the SA International Investment to join in the photograph, please. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your cooperation. I'd like to make these few recognitions before we move to the next item on our program. I'm delighted to introduce to us the Director General, Benue Television, who has joined us, Dr. Mrs. Patience Achakwaikyo. You're welcome, Madam. May I also acknowledge the presence of the Rector, Akawe Tokula Polytechnic, Dr. Martin Sagena. We have joining us also the Regional Manager of Greenville LNG, Christian Onyebuke. So you're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, we also acknowledge the presence of the Chief Operating Officer, Autogas Nigeria, Mr. Kennedy Osage. We are delighted that you found time to be part of this summit and share expertise and indeed deals with investors here at this event. We will, Arts Council, are you ready? We will take a quick dance presentation from the performing troupe of the Benue State Council for Arts and Culture before we proceed with the other presentations. Arts Council, please.
Turukuma USA, Turukuma USA, Embawaso, Siwusi Aruto, Turukuma, Turukuma USA, Veleje Gwenda, Majito Wazijalogo, Veleje Gwenda, Jambe uzaza, Yoro Jenge Ngole, Majite Wasijalogo, Imbawaso, Sawusi Aruto, Turukura Sishambe, Imbawaso, Sawusi Aruto, Turukura Shekenda shambe uzaza joro tindingule mazite wazijalo mabele shekwenda shambe uzaza joro tindingule mazite okuma eyuwese okuma eyuwese shambe uzozo yoro tinye kure Zimbe, waya ya o kula yo o waya ya
of the Arts Council for the dance performance. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take the second presentation for the day, which is on Nigeria's subnational positioning within the National Solid Minerals Development Policy Direction. A presentation by the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Honorable Henry Dele Alake, who is represented here today by the Director of Investment Promotion and Mineral Trade, Dr. Esther N. Udo. We invite her to step forward for the presentation. You may wish to put your hands together to cheer her up. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Your Excellencies and very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Mrs. Esther Udo. I am doing this insight today on behalf of my Honorable Minister, Dr. Henry Dele Alake, who is unavoidably absent as he is attending to other important national engagements. So the presentation, can I have the slides, please? So after the presentation by the professor, I don't know whether I should postpone my own or I should go ahead with it. Thank you. So I'm waiting for the slide. So the topic of my presentation is Nigeria subnationals positioning within National Solid Minerals Development Policy Direction. I think I gave this slide out early this morning, but I don't know. If you don't have it, I can resend it so that we get started. Okay, so, yes, I've already introduced myself. So next slide. So as we all know, mining in Nigeria, for me to be able to really speak to this topic, I want to take us briefly back to some historic perspective of mining in Nigeria. We all know that mining is as old as man himself, but organized mining began in Nigeria between 1902 and 1904 during the colonial masters era. And as at 1960, Nigeria was the world's largest producer of tin and columbite, largest producer as well as exporter of columbite, and coal for energy and railway locomotives. As the professor pointed out, in Enugu, coal mining was very intense and it was one of the sources of energy for locomotives as at then. And tin and associated mineral mining were initiated by Royal Niger Company in Jos Plateau in 1905. And in the 1960s and up to 1970, mining contributed significantly to the GDP of Nigeria. The Geological Survey of Nigeria was established as far back as 1919 as a government department to explore for minerals and disseminate geological information. Now, why am I going back to this historical perspective? It is because from this historical perspective, this is like over 60 years ago. And today, the mining sector is contributing less than 1% of the GDP. Why is the decline? Because of the discovery of oil, the mining sector was abandoned for petrodollar. And again, the indigenization decree of 1970s made the expatriates in this sector to go back. This indigenization decree made it mandatory for companies, mining companies, to be owned only by the indigenes of Nigeria. So this resulted in mass exodus of the expatriates. Remember that before now, this sector was operated mainly by colonial masters. So they had to leave. And then, again, another factor was the depletion of near-surface deposits and low mineral commodity prices. At a time, there was a very big decline in the prices of metal commodities. So all this led to the neglect of the sector and eventual collapse of the industry. Next slide, please. So when this sector collapsed, it was expected that the Nigerians that were working in the mining sector had to fend for themselves. They had to go back and continue to do illegal mining because, of course, they did not have the financial capability to sustain mining on their own. So that is why from this time, from the 60s, 70s, up to now, illegal mining is still thriving very well in all the states of Nigeria where mining takes place. So, control of mineral resources of Nigeria, like as we all know, the ownership and control of mineral resources is vested in the authority of the federal government, as contained in this important section 44, subsection 3 of the Nigerian Constitution, and item 39, part 1 of the second schedule of the exclusive list. Section 1, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act of 2007 made the federal government the sole administrator and regulator, while the private sector serves only as owner and operators of the industry. Next slide, please. So this is the Nigerian states and their natural resource endowment. It has been said, and it is a well-known fact, that Benue State is an agrarian state, meaning that agriculture plays vital role economically in Benue State. But not only is Benue State endowed with agricultural resources, they are also endowed with mineral resources. They have barites, they have clay, they have gemstones, They have even limestones in large quantity. They have coal in large quantity. And recently, it has been reported that there is lithium in Benue State, which means that Benue State can be an important player in the energy transition that every country of the world is going into now. Next slide. So by that, I can as well tell you that with the rich natural resources in Benue State has no business being poor. If these resources, both in terms of agricultural endowment and minerals endowment, if these are properly harnessed, Benue State is supposed to be one of the richest states in Nigeria. So this sector, a long overlooked cornerstone of national development, is presently undergoing an era of strategic reform and revitalization. As the Nigerian economy pivots towards diversification, resilience, and sustainable energy, the federal government recognizes that subnationals like Benue State must be integral partners in harnessing Nigeria's minerals wealth for inclusive growth. So all over the world, the language has become diversification of economy. You don't depend on oil alone. You don't depend on solid minerals. Before we discovered oil, Nigeria was not a poor country. Nigeria was depending on minerals and agriculture, and we were not poor. But suddenly Nigeria became a poor country because we abandoned every other thing and focused on oil. So diversification is the language for sustainable economic growth and energy sustainability. So now, in this present dispensation, there are reforms that the federal government, under the leadership of Dr. Henry Dela Alake, there are reforms that has put in place to ensure that solid minerals come up again as the mainstay of Nigeria's economy. And such reforms aimed to bring in these subnationals to be major players in the sector. So this insight today is exploring Nigeria's evolving solid minerals policy directions and offers a roadmap for subnational alignment and collaboration with Benue State as a critical stakeholder. Next slide. So I've already said this, but how do these subnational collaborate? How are they included in this present reform that has been brought in? The reforms include issuing the federal government on their own issues exploration and mining licenses through their agency that is called Mining Cadastral Office. I know that a lot of you are not novice in the mining activities, so many of you may know this agency. What they do is to issue exploration license, mining licenses, all the licenses that are required for mining to take place are administered by the mining through the Mining Cadastral Office. Then you cannot carry out mining without doing the exploration to the risk to know exactly what minerals you want to mine and where they can be found. So there is another agency of the ministry, the National Geological Survey Agency. So this agency conducts national geoscience survey throughout the country. Then we have, we regulate safety, the ministry regulates safety, environmental compliance, and revenue collections. So these two reforms in 2022, there is a roadmap that emphasizes on diversification. And then in 2023, there was a policy on decentralized mining license that introduces a framework for states to participate meaningfully in regulatory and investment promotion. Next slide. So, how do states participate and become part of this regulatory aspect of solid mineral? Because what happened with oil is that the federal government was in charge, and the communities, you can see the restiveness that is happening in the Niger Delta. And you can see that even the communities where this oil are drilled remain poor, and their sources of income have been depleted due to pollution. So taking a lesson from that, this present administration, through these reforms, wants every states where there are solid minerals, to have solid mineral development companies. So how will this benefit the states? It will help the states to apply for mineral titles. When you apply for your mineral titles and you are given mineral titles, you can invest, you can partner with private multinationals, and you become an investor through that means. And then you can also, we know that every state have artisanal miners. They are everywhere. In some areas, they are referred to as illegal miners. So what the federal government is doing is to harness them. Instead of arresting these locals that are using the local and traditional tools to dig the ground just to find a way of sustaining their livelihood, they formalize them. You can get 10 of them and form cooperatives with them so that they can, through that means, grow into minor miners, and before you know it, they can keep growing like that. Because of that small support that you have given them, they can grow from artisanal through that cooperative to minor miners, small-scale miners, and by doing that, you have empowered a lot of the locals. And this, one of the things that this does is that they create employment. Apart from empowering them to sustain themselves economically, it is creating a lot of jobs for the locals. So states can recommend ASM licenses and support formalization. So that geological data and asset mapping. States can partner with NGSA, the Nigeria Geological Survey Agency, to develop local geological data banks. Why do we need to develop geological data banks? It is because when you have bankable geological data, you have the risk that investment. So you can get an investor, and the investor will be ready to invest in your state because he's sure that the risk is not much. We all know that big mining operation is capital intensive. A lot of money is involved. And that is why many indigenous people are not able to mine in big scale, despite that we have abundance of solid minerals in almost all the states. So when you have bankable data, you can use it and attract investment in your state. So how else can government, subnational government, be a part of this investment drive? The local government can facilitate community development agreement. There is what we call community development agreement that is contained in the Minerals Act of 2007 that ensures the transfer of economic benefit to the mining host communities. So the subnationals can facilitate that by putting the communities right, by educating them and telling them how to go about it. Because what we see in the ministry is that sometimes some communities, especially coming from the traditional rulers, tend to be so demanding. They overshoot what they should ask for. They demand for so much. And conversely, you also have some instances where some companies just enter and do their operations without taking cognizance of the mining host community. So that is why this collaboration between the federal and the subnationals are important. And when we understand it, we will know that all of us are stakeholders, and it is a win-win situation when we partner and collaborate. Next slide, please. So in this dispensation, what is Benue's opportunity? What are the opportunities that Benue State have? Benue is rich in burials, in limestone, coal, lead, zinc, gemstone, clay, alongside underexplored natural gas reserves, which Prof has talked about. So, these opportunities, how are we utilizing them? Some of them I've already said. As an agrarian and mineral-rich state, Benue can link minerals to agro-industrial growth. You can make your fertilizers from these minerals that are abound in your state. You can also use the lime for soil treatment. Again, you can use your burials in clean drilling operations and cement for green construction. You can use barite again for oil and gas drilling. You can use limestone for cement and carbon capture. So you can see the interplay between both the solid minerals and the oil and gas sector. So what we need in Benue is just to be able to come together and have a blueprint of how we can take advantage of all these resources that are found in our state. Natural gas can power local mineral processing zones and agricultural clusters, enabling decentralized energy development. So yes, on Thursday, one of the speakers said that in Benue, nobody will mine and take it away without value addition. And this is where we are at the federal level as well. The Honorable Minister has made it a point of, made it mandatory that whatever you mine, it will not be from pit to port. You must have value addition. You must have a kind of processing what you have mined. That way, we create jobs for our teeming youth. We create jobs for the community, for the locals, where these mines are taking place. So value addition. You can invest in ceramics, in cement, fertilizer plants, light metals industries. I remember way back that there was Benue Cement. But recently, I don't hear of Benue Cement again. What I hear is Dangote Cement, Bua Cement. So the question is, what happened to Benue Cement? What happened to Benue Cement? So this is what we are talking. I'm sure that while Benue Cement was operational, jobs were created. People were working there. So I think we should look inwards and retrace our steps to what we used to be and see that it works. There is no need. You see a lot of young people in Nigeria, they are traveling abroad. They say they are jackpotting. There is no need for all that because we have enough to sustain, even though they say Nigeria population is growing, but God has blessed us with so much in natural resources that Nigeria should be a place where other countries should be coming. Nigeria visa should have been one of the hottest visas to get because everything is here. We have the human capital, we have the natural resources, we have sun, we have everything. So there is no need for Nigerians to be seen abroad, going to seek asylum when God has blessed us with so much. Next slide, please. So, the insights, institutional partnership, I have said it, the states can formally engage with federal agencies. You can enter MOUs and other forms of collaboration with Mining Cadastral Office and the Nigeria Geological Survey Agency to make your geoscience data easy. So that when you register your company, I assume that every serious-minded state will take advantage for the first time that we are having that states can register and get mining mineral titles and own mines and just pay royalty to the federal government. I think every serious-minded state should take advantage of that provision and come forcefully, wholeheartedly into these mining activities. So we can have geological data sharing and mineral licensing support from the federal. We can also assess license status and investor leads. Next slide, please. So, public-private community models. Mining must be people-centered and investor-friendly. There is what is called environmental and social governance. So, if you are looking to attract investment, you must make sure that the environmental aspect, the social aspect, the economic aspect come together. You must have them balanced. So the people the community you are mining their resources must be carried along. You must have their buy-in. You must have their acceptance before you start. So we try to create that balance that you don't exploit unsustainably so that the people will become restive. So embed community development agreement in all major projects. Then you should be able to attract the companies that will balance the environmental and social governance in their mining operations. Next slide, please. Now, this is strategic action number 3. It's talking about energy infrastructure for mining and industry. What is this thing talking about? The Prof has extensively talked about the CBM, but that is not the only one that we can explore in Benue. So why is energy important? You can see, as we are sitting down here today, this light has gone off many times. I cannot count. Because we are relying on only one source. It has gone off many times. And no business can thrive when there is no steady power source. So, and mining is energy intensive. So if we are looking to do our mining properly, if we are looking to do our mining in a way that we achieve the desired result, we must have ways of having energy sustenance. And what I have here is that Benue can conduct energy resource mapping and assessment. How do we do it? Develop modular gas to power projects using your natural gas fields. Conduct detailed mapping of existing energy infrastructure, and establish centers in mining clusters. You have some mining clusters that you can establish energy centers. You can assess renewable and non-renewable energy potentials, particularly solar, small hydropower, and biomass. Assess which one works here. What works in area A may not work in B. So assess what works where and how. That way, some of these energy crises we have can be taken care of. Next slide, please. I took a lot of time to dwell on this energy because of the importance of it. So next slide, I've been told that I have 2 minutes to round up. So next slide, please. So these are all energy, what we can do with the energy to make sure that we have constant energy. We have a lot of sunlight. We don't have any business saying that we don't have power. We've been told we have coal in abundance. We have all these places that we can generate energy. Next slide. So in this energy infrastructure for mining and industry, you can train local technicians in the deployment and maintenance of energy system. Whatever we do, capacity development is key. You have to develop capacity to be able to carry out what you want, and you have to domesticate whatever technology will bring in. We have to domesticate it. We have to make it adapt it to suit our country and our environment, and whatever we have on ground, we have to adapt it. So there is need for us to develop capacity along that line. Environmental and social safeguards. Whatever project you want to initiate in your state, you must make sure that there is adequate environmental impact assessment to tell us whether the project can go on or whether there are environmental consequences. And if there are, we have to put up mitigative measures so as to address those environmental issues. Next slide, please. Local content and skill development. Workforce readiness is essential for value addition. So Benue State can partner with institutions like Nigeria Institute of Mining and Geosciences, Nigeria Mining and Geosciences Society and then the Federal Technical Colleges and Polytechnics. That way you can train your locals into the fields of geology, mining engineering, environmental and safety management. Next slide. So you should also have a dedicated fund, to support your activities from pre-license exploration and feasibility studies. You should have state mineral development fund to empower your local cooperatives and small and medium enterprises in the mining sector. We have to help our people to grow. Like what China is doing, China government is the one that most of the time give loans to their citizens. You see a lot of Chinese in Nigeria, many of them have loan at almost zero interest. So on our own, we should have areas, we should have means of, accumulating fund, saving fund for our people to start their own business. Next slide. Policy alignment. We all know that our minister, Dr. Henry Dela Alake, when he came in, he launched a 7-point agenda in the mining sector. And basically, what are those 7-point agendas saying? Bankable geodata for investors. So without your bankable data, no serious investor will come into your domain. So if you align with his 7-point agenda, trust me, Benue will turn into a mining hub And before you know it, Benue will become one of the richest states in this country. So, processing hub for value addition, I've said it before, formalization of your ASM, empower your community, transparent licensing processing, security and surveillance of mining areas. You can see that since he came in, a lot of arrests are being made. Like every week you will see a major arrest of people that are mining illegally, smuggling these products out of wherever they bring it from, and going ahead for export and all that. You can see that the security and surveillance of mining areas is very, very important, and state can partner with the federal in order to make this a reality and make it succeed even more. Next slide. So, by way of my conclusion, I say subnational engagement is not only legal, but strategic. It enhances local economic development, security, and environmental responsibility. Benue has all the building blocks, natural resources, policy backing, human capital, and to be a leader in sustainable mining and energy development. Call to action, collaborate with the federal institution, attract responsible and ethical investment, create an enabling environment for youth, women, and communities to thrive. On this note, I think I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Please, can we make those applause louder? As you hold for a moment, I would like to invite the Director General, Bureau for Education Quality Assurance, and the Chairman, Resource Persons Contact Committee, the Benue International Investment and Economic Summit 2025, Dr. Tena Francis, for the citation.
Citation of Dr. Henry Dele Alake, Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dr. Henry Dele Alake is a distinguished public servant, veteran journalist, strategic communicator, and visionary leader, currently serving as the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A man of integrity and profound intellect, Dr. Alake brings to public service a wealth of experience spanning journalism, governance, policy formulation, and mineral resource development. He holds a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in mass communication from the University of Lagos, and earned his doctorate honoris causa in recognition of his contributions to media and national developments. His career began in journalism, where he rose through the ranks to become editor of the National Concord, establishing himself as a voice of truth and influence during Nigeria's democratic struggles. Dr. Alake served with distinction as Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Lagos State under the administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where he pioneered innovative communication strategies and institutional reforms that became benchmarks for effective governance. Appointed Minister of Solid Minerals Development in 2023 by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Dr. Alake has since embarked on transformative reforms aimed at repositioning Nigeria's mineral sector as a catalyst for economic diversification, job creation, and sustainable development. Under his stewardship, the ministry has prioritized transparency, investment promotion, regulatory overhaul, and the development of critical mineral value chains. Dr. Alake is widely respected for his unwavering commitment to national progress, his clarity of purpose, and his drive to unlock the vast potential of Nigeria's solid minerals for the benefit of present and future generations. For his enduring contributions to national development and exemplary service to the nation, we proudly recognize and honor our distinguished Honorable Minister for Solid Minerals Development, Honorable Dr. Henry Dele Alake. Gentlemen, this afternoon, I present to you in appreciation